My name is Tony Stevens. I'm the associate pastor here at Harbor Lake Baptist Church. And on behalf of myself, our church, our pastor, Pastor Jimmy Fuller, we'd like to welcome you here to Harbor Lake. Glad you could come tonight. And we are honored to host this Berkeley County Supervisors debate tonight, put on by the 912 group and Mr. Bill Bates and the hard work that he and his wife do. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And we are very much looking forward to this process this evening. Before I turn it over to Sheriff Nash and we get the proceedings started, I'd like to take the opportunity to pray before we get started. So if you would, let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the blessed day that you've given us. Lord, thank you so very much for the land that you put us in, where we can come with different ideas, different thought processes, Lord, and we can speak openly about the direction that you would have this country to go. We thank you for that opportunity. We thank you for the freedoms that you give us, that you've given us. And Lord, we understand too that those freedoms from time to time begin to erode. And it's up to us, the church, to stand up and to make your will known so that we gain those freedoms back. Father, we just thank you. We pray your blessings on tonight, on our moderator, on all of our candidates, Lord. And we ask that you would be with us in everything that we do here tonight. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now please have a seat. It's great to be here in Goose Creek. Many thanks to Bill and Barbara Bates for inviting me here again after our last forum that we had with the Goose Creek mayoral election, or mayoral candidates, which was quite interesting. And so I guess they brought me back for return engagements. Must have been something, right? Many thanks to Tony and folks here at Harbor Lakes Baptist for opening up the venue. A couple of housekeeping things. Number one, would you join me in putting your cell phones on vibrate and your phasers on stun? We don't want anybody beyond the stun setting tonight. And then secondly, we're going to lay some ground rules. But I want to say this first, being that we're in a church this evening, I think it would be very appropriate. The Bible tells us two things about government. It says government is responsible for punishing those that do wrong and commending those that do well. In other words, we're to discourage evildoers and encourage the good doers. And after many, many years of government service, not currently, but many years throughout my life, it's been my observation that government spends a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of your money seeking to punish those that do evil, but oftentimes forgetting the other side of that coin, which is commending those that do good. And I just want to take a minute and commend you all for being here tonight for something good, because it is incredibly important to have an informed electorate. Our founders do that. They put the system in place because they knew that in order to have the type of Republican government we have, there must be citizen interaction, there must be citizen involvement, there must be citizen engagement, and there must be citizen knowledge about what the issues really are and about what's going on, that you can make an informed and intelligent vote when it comes time to come to election day. I also want to commend the three candidates for being here as well, and for jumping into this fray. Having run for office myself, I know it takes an awful lot. It's a lot on the individual. It's a lot on the families as well. And so we appreciate these three men as well as their families for jumping into this fray and answering the call that they feel in their heart to become involved in such an important activity. The way we're going to start the process tonight, in case you don't know these gentlemen, you're going to get a chance to meet them individually. I'm going to give each one of them up to 7 minutes to give introductory remarks. You don't have to take the whole 7 minutes. They have up to 7 minutes to do that. But we have Jerry Berkeley here on our left, and we have Bill Peegler, current mayor of Moncks Corner in the center, and we have our incumbent Dan Davis, supervisor for Berkeley County, on the far right. I already told them I was going to let them go in this order, and that Mayor Peegler's going to go first, followed by Jerry, followed by Dan, because that is the fact that we're in which they arrived tonight. So that seemed like that would be appropriate and fair. Once they've done their 7-minute opening, I'm going to give you some rules. The rest of the night's going to be open forum. It's going to be y'all asking them questions and then responding. And I'll lay some ground rules at that time about what I expect from you, what I expect from the candidates, so we have some ground rules and fun and enjoyable. It's going to be lighthearted, hopefully, informal, but very educational as well to everybody that's here. So having said all of that, let's start with Mayor Piegler, and we'll turn the floor over to him.
Good afternoon. Okay. Apparently I need to whisper. Alright, but anyway, I'd like you to meet my mom and my wife. They're here with me this evening. Alright, so they got my back. They're watching. Mom's got a cane. Anyway, I'm Berkeley County born and raised. I'm Bill Piegler. I was born at Berkeley County Hospital when we still had one. I went to the College of Charleston. We never lost a football game. And I went to Mercer University to get my law degree. I am a practicing attorney. I am a full-time, self-employed businessman. I know what it means to make a living. I think that I've proven myself over the past few years, because I've been 10 years on council and approximately 10 years as mayor of Moncks Corner. That is a leadership position in which I've been helping run the town, and in fact running the town for the last approximately 10 years. By doing that, we had certain problems which are akin to the problems that we have at the county level. And those problems, first of all, we have a problem with cars. When I became the mayor, we had dilapidated cars, and we agreed to buy so many per year with extended warranties on them, so we only had to buy gas, tire, oil, and windshield wipers. Therefore, that meant that our maintenance budget could help pay for cars. And at the end of the day, we were able to give 11 cars to the county because Moncks Corner could have sold those on WWF.com. But we we feel the need that we need to support Berkeley County. Firemen and our police department were training facilities. We've raised salaries on those. We have entered into an automatic aid contract with Whitesfield Rural, which Chief Lieutenant Stevenson informs us that we put more equipment and personnel on a fire in Charleston City. We are doing a recreational facility that's not paid for by ad valorem property tax. It's paid by 2% hospitality tax. The business environment in Moncks Corner for prepared meals is over $30 million a year. In fact, we are estimating it to be even more than that because in our budget projections for this year, we're looking at $750,000 or $710,000, I can't remember which right now, low of the hospitality tax. People are going to be eating in Moncks Corner a lot more. These things that we brought about, we've done without raising taxes. We have made life better in Moncks Corner. We have a nice downtown. This facility is located in downtown. We're business oriented. We want to make Moncks Corner a business environment. I tell you all these things because these are the same kind of proactive environment that we can bring to the county. We want to do that because we haven't had a significant investment in our county of a business, jobs producing business, and over the past few years. We need that because we're building all kinds of homes, but the homes, they are taxed at 4% if they're residential, primary residence, and schools are associated with that. So while the taxes have been remained pretty constant in Berkeley County, the school board bonds and debt have risen, and that puts us in a bad situation. One of the unintended consequences, I think, of the impact fees was what we have to do with putting a burden on small business. We need to encourage small business. That's the backbone of Berkeley County and of this whole country. And I'm a qualified individual from the standpoint of my education, my experience, and being a self-employed businessman. That brings a business acumen to the county where I can get along with people. I am a team builder. That's what I did at the town because when I became the mayor, we couldn't cut public service grass with a recreational lawn. We got those things out of the way. We all work together as a team. Makes the cost of Moncks Corner a lot better. We're going to encourage investment and with the cities to form a team so that we aren't duplicating services. We want to build a relationship with you so that you know that you can come in and talk with me. You can come in and bring your ideas, because I'm a big problem solver. That's what I've always done. And as you can tell, I've been successful at it. We okay? All right. And as a result of that, I need to know from you what the problems are. And my door will always be open. And let me tell you what this is going to cost me. If you doubt my commitment to you in Berkeley County, I have to give up my law office, my law practice, which I've spent 25 years establishing, because I want to run the county. I want to work for you. Government for the people, by the people, because I feel that there's a need to change. I'll tell you a little story. I'm a coach, and I told you that I'm a team builder. I coach St. John's Christian Academy, and we encourage our kids to pray. And one day, our JV board was praying, and somebody said something you agree with the church. What do you say? Amen, that's right. He said something I agreed with, and I said, amen. He says, I'm not finished. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring a business acumen, a qualified leadership person to Berkeley County so that we can do the things necessary to move this county forward. Thank you. Jared Forster. Good evening. I'm going to come down here a little bit because I think better when I'm moving around. Let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Jerry Berkeley. I was born and raised here in the Low Country. I'm a graduate of R.B. Stahl High School in North Charleston. I have an undergraduate degree from a school called Murray State University in Kentucky. And I have a master's degree from Clemson University. Go Tigers. I have 15 years of experience in state and local government. I'm an assistant vice president at Heritage Trust Federal Credit Union. I've been married for 20 years to my college sweetheart, and I have a very expensive 16-year-old daughter that I love dearly. I get asked a lot, why should I vote for you? And my answer is very simple. Because I'm not Dan Davis, and I'm not Bill Dean. I don't have their obligations. I don't have their baggage. I go into Berkeley County clean. I don't know a favor. I don't know a friend. Now the supervisor's motto is keeping our county strong. You can't miss it. He's got signs from here to Oxnard. But the facts are, Berkeley County has the highest unemployment rate in the 3 counties. We have an underfunded sheriff's department, an underfunded EMS, and a jail that's been 2/3 empty for years. We have no real industrial development, no real jobs coming. We have an entire sector of our population on Daniel Island that doesn't even feel like they're part of the Berkeley County family. And when asked, Mr. Davis says, the people on Daniel Island want to leave. So be it. Keeping our county strong. Like many of you, I disagree. As your supervisor, I will always lead from the front. You'll never have to pay to see the state of the county address. I will go worldwide to find companies to come to Berkeley County to grow with us, giving us good paying jobs. You can sleep better at night knowing that you're safe and protected. When you go and vote, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, are we better off now than we were 8 years ago? And 2, am I happy the way Berkeley County is ran today? If your answer is yes, you got 2 politicians you can pick from. Just pick one. But if your answer is no, you have an alternative in a conservative republic. And together, you and I, we can make Berkeley County strong again. Thank you.
Dan.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out. My first observation as I was sitting out here is I recognize who all the Baptists are, because with all these empty seats, I see a lot of folks packed in the back, but that's okay. Again, thank you for being here. This is a great opportunity. I quite frankly enjoy these kinds of events. And the one thing that I've learned that I get the opportunity to do is to correct mistakes or correct things that people say and that aren't necessarily the truth. And so I believe that everybody leaves a little better informed when they come to these. My name is Dan Davis. I'm 63 years old. I have been married 43 or soon be 43 years. And I originally was born in Hemingway, South Carolina, just across the Santee River. Moved to Sumter, grew up in Sumter, and moved to the Low Country about 30-something years ago as city manager in Hanahan. I was educated at the University of South Carolina. I actually got a master's in city management, and that's why I came to Hanahan. I was a city manager there, and that's what I thought I wanted to do as a profession. I didn't like that as much, and I finally went into business for myself and have been a businessman for, I guess, the last 33 years. And some of them have been very successful, some of them not so much, but on the whole, that's what my primary occupation is. And a few years ago, I was ready for retirement, and that's when I decided to run for supervisor, because I felt like I needed to give back to the community. I wanted to do something that would be important in the community, and that's the reason I ran for supervisor. In the 8 years that I've been supervisor, I've sort of focused on three important elements of county government. We have, I don't know if y'all realize, but we actually have about 30 different departments in the county. So there's a lot of things that I have to get my hands around. But the three primary things are the things that I think we all agree the person in my position ought to be most concerned about. One is finances. And when I came to the county, when I was elected, I don't think our financial situation was very good. We had about a 65% debt ratio. In other words, we owed 65 cents on every dollar that we owned. And that's not good. Even in your own households, that's not good. We also had an incredible amount of debt, and we had a very low fund balance. And so we had to begin to take care of those. And you can see the literature. We've had mail-outs to you. You can see the results of that. We reduced the debt ratio to about 45%. We have increased our fund balance to about $12 million, and we have gotten rid of a lot of debt. And so we're in much, much better shape. Economic development, and both of my opponents said that we haven't had a very aggressive economic development program, but if y'all have been watching the newspapers, I think you'll remember back in December, we broke ground. The governor and everybody was here. It was a big, big deal down on Daniel Island at Benefit Focus. They're building about a $50 million facility, and they're employing 1,200 people just there on Daniel Island. And then in February, we broke ground on the Palmetto Physicians Group up by exit 199 in Somerville, and they will be creating about 1,125 new jobs. That's 2,325 new jobs just in the last 6 months. The governor recently announced that she had created, I've heard this on one of her political ads, that she had created about 6,000 jobs statewide. Well, that's pretty impressive, but you know, we had 2,325 of those. That's a third of the jobs created in South Carolina, according to the governor. I didn't check the facts, but that's what she said. The third thing that has been a real focus by me is the penny sales transportation tax. You know, our road system was getting in very, very bad shape. It is getting in bad shape statewide, and it's because of the gasoline tax. We all know the story. The tax is low. It's the lowest, second lowest, I think, in the nation, and our roads show that. We all know you get what you pay for, and if we're not willing to pay for the roads, then we're just not going to have very good roads. So we were successful in getting the penny sales tax, and for those of you who voted for it, thank you very much, because I hope that you see that we have had positive results of that penny sales tax. 17A is now being completed. Jedburgh Road is completed. Highway 6. We've just started on College Park roads, construction on College Park just a couple of months ago, and that's slated to be finished hopefully about mid-year next year. It takes about 18 months to do a project like that. And next coming up, we have, and I'm sure you've read the paper, we're looking to renew that penny sales tax to do other projects. And for those of you who live in Goose Creek, one of the primary projects that we'll be promoting in the penny sales tax is to fix the intersection that had me waiting 9 minutes a few minutes ago there at 176 and 52. We propose to do a flyover like they did in Mount Pleasant and bridge Highway 52 and take out the traffic light, and that should save a number of minutes on everybody's lives every day and improve things. And there are many, many more. So, you know, I want to be reelected. That's going to be one of the first things we deal with is the penny sales tax. I want to continue the things we've been doing and to make Berkeley County better and to make Berkeley County strong, because I think it does make us strong. Thank you. All right, now we're open forum time. I'm going to draft Bill Bates. You know this is coming. You're going to help me with the microphone on this side for anybody that has a question. I'll handle the other side, and we'll see how that works. Here's the rules of engagement here. I'm going to give you all, you raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll try to get as many of you as we can. You'll have 1 minute to formulate and ask your question. I know how some of y'all are in these conservative groups. You want to express your opinion about things as opposed to asking a question. We respect your opinion, but we're here to hear their opinions, okay, on these matters. So ask your question, kind of like Jeopardy, right? You got to put it in the form of a question. And if you're not getting to the question, I'm going to ask you to kind of wrap it up. We'll give you 1 minute to formulate and ask your question. We're going to give each of the candidates 2 minutes to respond to the question. And I think what I'll do, guys, I think the way this will work is I'll try to hang out second mark. I'll just give you the old watch, tapping the watch indicator. And when I jump up and grab you off the stage, that means time's all the way up. That way they can kind of formulate their last the point that they're trying to make and wrap it up. 2 minutes does not give them a lot of time to answer some of these questions, so try to keep them, you know, to the level of complexity that they can answer within that 2 minute time frame, rather than asking multi-part and very complex and convoluted question that sometimes takes place. Another thing that I've learned in doing these types of forums is that sometimes someone will come into this room with a bone to pick with a particular candidate about something that has happened to them individually, and they want to sort of air that out in front of the whole group. I'm going to discourage that from y'all tonight because there's other opportunities and there's other venues that would be more appropriate for that type of an ambush attack. I'd rather have a question that is of general interest to the entire audience rather than something that perhaps has happened to you. And I'll ask you to try to refrain from those types of questions. I will allow you to ask a question to 1 or 2 of the candidates rather than all 3 if you would like. I'd like to discourage that because obviously we'd like to hear from all 3 of them, but if it's just something that's burning that you want to ask 1 or 2 instead of the entire panel, we will allow that. I will reserve the right to cut that off if it looks like there's too many questions going to one of the candidates and make it more general in nature. I think those are the main points that I wanted to make in terms of setting the framework for how this forum is going to be conducted. We will give them a 2 minute wrap up at the end. Again, it's going to be kind of informal. I may have to make up some rules on the fly if we have to. I'm going to do everything I can to be fair to all 3 of y'all and the way the questions are asked. Oh, this is the other thing. If one of the candidates, in response to your question, attacks the record of one of the other candidates, I'm going to give them an extra minute to respond to whatever that particular attack might have been on their record. So we will have that flexibility as we go forth as well. And other than that, I think we've covered all the groundwork that we need, and we'd like to now open it up for questions. Who's got a question you'd like to ask? I saw this hand go up first. Let me see, do I need to do anything, Tony, with this? Flip it on. Here you go, sir.
This question is to you, sir. In your literature, you state that you properly fund emergency medical emergency services. What is your recommendation for the source of the funding? Are you suggesting more taxes or reducing services in other areas such as road maintenance, And how do you properly fund emergency services and open satellite offices on Daniel Island 2? And where will all revenue come from?
Thank you, Don. Thank you very much for the question. I appreciate the question. Yes, I have put on my literature that we need to do some funding of emergency services. I do agree with that. I think that the best way that we can do things is we need to start looking at each department. We need to start cutting out some duplication and waste in county government. I am pretty sure, I'm not positive, but I really am encouraged to think that we can make EMS self-sufficient. No tax dollars. But I'm not going to sit here and look at Don and say, Don, I think I can do it. But I think we should try. We have 11 ambulances, I believe. And you know, I've heard a lot about mileage and diesel engines and all this stuff. But the facts are that we have to start giving money to these things. Let's be honest. I live out in the county. How many people live in the county and live in any cities? A couple. I was witness to an accident off the Cypress Gardens Road. It took 17 minutes for an ambulance to show. 17 minutes. We've got to do something about that. I don't know where the funding's going to come from, but we need to try. These are people's lives. As far as the sheriff's department goes, he's in need, I think the last number I heard, like 46 more vehicles. How much is it worth to you that when you dial 911, somebody comes and helps you? Now, I know that we've talked about
30 seconds.
I know we've talked about putting it on the backs of the taxpayers. Let them decide what we're going to do with the sheriff's department. I don't know if that's right or not. But we don't do things because they're easy. We do things because they're hard. Thank you.
Okay, already we've got an issue here in that the question was asked to Jerry, but this is the type of question that you two might want to take a stab at. If you want to take a stab at public safety funding, I'm glad to give you an opportunity to do that. Dan?
Well, quite honestly, our situation is just a limited amount of resources. You know, the county, despite the fact I think most people believe that we're like the federal government or the state government in some cases, you probably see every year the state gets ready to do their budget and they find $300 million and, you know, there's not much of an explanation about where that money comes from. We keep track of our money a lot better than they do in the state. You know, we know how much money we've got to deal with. And so we allocate that money as best we can. We cannot satisfy all the wants. We certainly can't satisfy all the wants. We have a hard time even satisfying the needs. So, you know, with those limited resources, and we are just out of money, our budget is balanced, but that's all the money we have. And the only way that we're going to be able to fund more to public safety, and they by no means are the only ones who probably need more funding, the only way we're going to be able to do that is to come up with more money. So that's why I propose that we let that go to the taxpayers. And I've heard a lot from the citizens that they do need more money. So if the citizens say, yes, we are willing to vote them a tax increase to satisfy this need, then I'm perfectly fine with that. And I think everybody else would be, because that's the most democratic way to do it. But you just got to understand, county government, just like the school district, and we got school district folks here, and we got others who have worked in county government before. You know, you got a limited amount of money, and you got to make it go as far as you can, and that's what we've tried to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what we do in Moxcorn. All right, every one of our firefighters is an EMT. When we go there, we get there before the ambulance does. That's 17 minutes. We don't worry about that in Moxcorn because we're waiting on the ambulance to get there, but we've already started rescue services. That's the way we maximize or create teamwork. We can do that with our volunteer fire departments. We can do that with the Goose Creek Fire Department. We give them incentives to enhance their abilities so that they can serve you better. There are some issues with, you know, I know that there's 2 ambulances that are fully funded and the revenue goes to the municipalities that they are, you know, where they're housed at, and the county pays all the expense. Now that seems a little unfair. There needs to be something done in that particular situation so that we can bring those monies back into the county office and put them to paying for all of you as they should be. Now, I can't say I know all the secrets and all the things, but let me tell you something. I got into this job because I like helping people, and that's why I'm here. And that's all I've been doing in the past 20 years. I've been labeled a politician, but, you know, that's all I wanted to do was help people. So, and I feel that my experience with how we handle this situation in Moncks Corner can benefit the entire county. We've got a lot of experience running Moncks Corner. Thank you.
Very good. All right, another question? Bill, handle that.
Several years ago, there was a county supervisor and a county council. It seems like lately there's been a county supervisor and 2 county councils. There always seems to be a split up there. I'd like to know how, if you were elected, you would affect this split in the county council. Anyway.
Well, I'll let Dan take this one first. And what I'm going to try to do is rotate who gets to go first, and we'll all come and keep track. Remember who it was that went first last time. It can be kind of confusing up here. But Dan, you can go.
Well, our present situation with county council is just an example of politics. I mean, that's just plain and simple. 2 years ago, we had a different situation. There was a majority on one side and a minority on the other. Now that has switched. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we all agree that one of the principles of a democracy is that you have a right to disagree. So it may be dysfunctional at times. We do seem to get the job done, but I would never stand up here and say that we all need to agree and we all need and have unanimity all the time, because I think that is dangerous as well. But it's just one of those things we have to deal with. I think just about every local government around has the same issue. I was with Dorchester County today and with the chairman of Dorchester County, and we were talking about, they experience the same thing. They have kind of the same situation with their county layout. They have a large rural area, and they have a fairly small but dense, very populated urban area. And they go at it sometimes a good little bit. So it's just the name of the game, I think.
Good. Thank you very much. All right.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have to remember is the priority of government is Berkeley County. We all serve Berkeley County. We all owe a duty to you as taxpayers to do the best job possible for Berkeley County. And we need to remind every person on council that is their job. Regardless of whether they live in an urban area or whether they live in a rural area. We have a duty to all citizens of Berkeley County to make government responsive to you and your needs. That's why I tell people I build teams. And that's one of the things that we will do. We will encourage everybody to get past their personal differences between each other and concentrate on the goal. And the goal is to make Berkeley County a better place to live and more efficient with your tax dollars. Thank you.
Jerry?
You have to know when to negotiate, and you have to know when to stick to your principles. I think that's a fair statement. Yes, Dan's right. The winds have changed. You had liberals a few years ago, now you have more conservatives. But you have to negotiate, and you have to know when. I'm a conservative Republican, so anything that doesn't put priorities of the people first, I don't negotiate. Now, other things I will, of course. But if you look at the way that things are working right now on council, you have a majority of conservatives. They've given money to the sheriff's department, bought a couple of ambulances, reworked the way that employees get their raise. As long as you don't go against your principles, I have no problem negotiating. But I believe that there are certain things that you should not have to negotiate on. Thank you.
Good. Another question? Yes, ma'am. We'll give you the microphone. We're recording this, by the way, so it'll be on YouTube later. You go right ahead.
Mr. Bigley. Yes, ma'am. So can you help me to understand? I think you said something about the jail being empty or or something of that sort. I'm not sure I have it correctly, but however, what does that mean?
Well, for the past couple of years, we have had a new jail. And the first floor, when I say 2/3, there's 3 floors. For the last couple of years, we've had a brand new jail that only the first floor is open. The other 2 floors were not. And it was because of lack of corrections officers. We've had that for a couple of years. Now, lack of funding. My understanding, the sheriff has asked repeatedly, I need these corrections officers. Now, not having those other 2 floors puts all of us at risk. I'm going to tell you why. One of these days, one of these offenders, whatever you want to call them, is going to get hurt seriously, and there's going to be a lawsuit, and we're going to pay for it. There is no segregation. But we have to fund these things. Conservative members of council, my understanding, we have the 16, and we'll be able to open up the other 2. Thank you.
Would either of you like to take a stab at this?
If I could speak to that for a minute. It was not something that was typically known by council until I brought it up at one of the meetings when I said that as an attorney, by not funding the last 2 floors of the jail, you were taken out of the protection of the Tort Claims Act, which limits liability, and it's gross negligence not to fund it. And because I mentioned that, it appears that councilman found out about it, finally flowed through, and funding became a reality. Now, that's the type of thing I bring in because I know what the law is. Because I told somebody, I said, if I was an attorney and represented someone that got hurt there, I could get enough money to open that jail for my client. Okay? Thank you.
This is one of those opportunities I enjoy because I'm able to kind of straighten out the facts. Here's what happened with the detention center. We were under orders by the Department of Corrections, State Department of Corrections, to expand our facility. And the reason that we were ordered to do that is we had an average daily population, this is back in 2007, we had an average daily population of 475 people. So our jail was overcrowded. So we had a bond issue, we sold bonds and started designing the jail, then built the jail. By the time the jail was built, the legislature had changed the law, mostly regarding deadbeat dads. We all know that there are a lot of folks that were housed in our detention center that were in there because they didn't pay child support. So the law was changed, and by the time that the jail was completed, we had a population of about 370 people per day. So we reduced the number of prisoners by about 100. Made it much more easy to manage. But at the same time, we had the new jail, and we wanted to hire the officers and put them there because the more officers, this was a modern facility, and it's much easier for them to maintain control over the prisoners. The problem simply was that we entered a recession. The next year, we were trying to figure out ways to manage with what we had. So we just had to put off the hiring of those detention officers until the recession was over and our revenues returned. But that hasn't quite got here yet, but we're getting closer. But that's the real story behind the detention center.
Thank you very much. All right, another question. Bill, handle that one.
Thank you. About 6 years ago, the county built a 12-inch water line along Highway 311 and Cross. Services about 12 homes. Because that isn't enough water flow through the pipeline to keep it fresh there. Put in an automatic dump valve, started dumping 5,000 gallons of water a day. To my knowledge, that's still going on, and I'm just asking all of you, if you're elected or re-elected as supervisor, can you address this problem? Because to get the 400 homes necessary to stop the dumping, it could take decades with the rate of development there. So we're just going to keep dumping that water in the woods?
Bill, why don't you go first on this one? You can run that way again, why don't you guys?
You had to get me first, didn't you? Okay. I don't think it's proper when, I think of government should be run like a business, okay? If you don't have enough people there to merit that expansion, it shouldn't have been done. I realize that, it's already there. Now, the problem is, what do we do with it? Well, we can, either have a guy that dumps his water on there, dig a pond, which won't do a whole lot of people, any good. Or we can encourage those to, to tap in, maybe waive tap-in fees, have some incentive to help build that customer base, or elsewise, I don't know what the ramifications, but I'm not a water lawyer, so I can tell you the legal effects of that. But, it may have to cut staff off. But it's unfortunate that it was done, and it was done with taxpayer dollars. But, we need to solve the problem. And I think it would be better served if we could encourage people to be part of it so that they can be paid back to the system. Jerry?
I have heard this for years, this water line issue. I've given it some thought, and this is how I think I would handle it. First of all, I'll investigate to see what's really going on. There's so much speculation in this county about that water line, and Mr. Pinckney's house, who's a member of council, and you got 4 people. Well, let's put this thing to rest. As your supervisor, I'll investigate it, I'll write up a report, and I will give it to you. Here, this is what I found out, good, bad, or indifferent. This is what I found out, and I'll let you be the judge. But I've heard about this, and all this water, I hope that we're not dumping fresh water, I really don't. But it's one of those things in Berkeley County that you hear about, and you're kind of taken aback. Well, we have a lot of those in Berkeley County, and that's just one of them. But I'll look into it, Jeff, and I'll give it to the people. I'll give you a nice PowerPoint if you want, and then I'll let you decide. And if there's any wrongdoing or anything that's illegal, I'll personally call the state attorney general and say somebody being bigger than me needs to look into this. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you don't actually have to study it or do anything with it because that's already been done. We, council, about 4 years ago, actually hired an auditor to do a forensic audit on that whole thing. They went back and traced when that project was conceived and the purpose for it. That project was approved back in 2001, long before I came there, and it was assigned to an engineer. All the environmental was done. It took several years to build it, but and it was finally built after I came there. But the reason that the line was built in the first place is, and maybe you don't know, but we have 2 sources of water. We belong to the Lake Moultrie Water Agency that's located there at Lions Beach in Monk's Corner. We also are kind of a part of the Lake Marion Water Authority. We have since bowed out of that agency, but we thought that we were going to be getting water. We joined that, I guess, 15 years ago. We thought we were going to get water from there. And this line, the 311 line, was a part of a redundant water supply that would help maintain water in this area, actually. We would be receiving water from Lake Marion. We'd be receiving water from Lake Moultrie. The lines would join together, and then if one of them failed, then you wouldn't be out of water because we'd still be able to maintain the water flow. But that's the story behind that. So there is an audit, and if any of you would like to see it, we have copies. Be glad to provide them to you.
Good. All right, another question? One more here.
We'll start with the sentence. Impact fees. Bill, you said you would get rid of impact fees. Am I on here?
Don't know that I need it, but you said you would stop impact fees, and I'm sure, Dan, you've got some good information about how much impact fees bring into the county. You probably got some good information about how you think it stifles, or maybe it does stifle, obviously, businesses that have went a different direction because of it. And Jerry, maybe you can have something to it as well, but if you'll sequence that, impact fees and how they do or don't work for the county.
So Jerry, go first on this one.
They get to go first, don't they?
I think we got Dan.
Impact fees.
We got you first on one.
I don't
I apologize. You got
Impact
first on a number up here, Jerry, because they were directed.
Impact fees. Bill and I have been witness because we've been doing a lot of debates together. We've talked a lot about impact fees. Impact fees at the end of the day are job killers. I know the supervisor said, oh, let's try to do away with impact fees completely in an election year. Well, it's kind of like quitting your job before taking another job and trying to pay your mortgage. How are you going to replace that money? It is killing jobs. Everybody's heard the story about the lady who wanted to open up the daycare. She goes through all this work. You owe me $25,000 before you can open the door. She packed up shop and left. Impact fees do kill us. We do need to look at it. Now, supervisor, I don't know how to solve that problem except let's put somebody together. Let's get people in the room. Let's talk about it. Let's get people involved. Let's get business owners involved and say, what can we do and how can we approach this properly? I think that's fair. Because at the end of the day, we need jobs in Berkeley County. We're the highest of the 3 counties. We need to do something. Thank you.
So now we'll come to Dan. Try to do it like this.
Okay, this brings up the penny sales tax program again. The impact fee was passed in 2005, a year before I became supervisor, and it had a very good intention. The purpose of that was to provide funding for the Sheep Island interchange up there by Jedburgh, which has been funded, and you can see all the growth that's taking place in Jedburgh. But the impact fee turned out to be a bad thing. It is a business killer. It's one of the worst things that Berkeley County has ever done. One of the reasons that I am so anxious to get the transportation impact fee, the penny sales tax renewed this November, and we plan to put it on the ballot, is that we are going to take some of the money from that transportation impact, the sales tax, and replace the transportation impact fee. It's not bringing that much money to the county. It's about $18 million over 20 years. It's really not bringing in that much, so we can easily afford that under the penny sales tax, and we will eliminate the impact fee. As a matter of fact, we introduced an ordinance at the meeting the other night to get rid of it. We just want to get it ready so that if the 1 cent passes in November, the next meeting we can pass that and be rid of that once and for all. But it is a horrible thing, and I have spent a lot of time trying to get rid of it, and we finally have figured out a way, and by November, hopefully, it'll be gone.
Bill?
Jerry stole some of my thunder. He killed my daycare scenario. But anyway, let me say something to you, ladies and gentlemen. 1%, 1 cent penny tax, whatever, has been used primarily in the southern part of the county. Since y'all in the southern part of the county, I think y'all are very happy about that because you've got better roads, but there's still some lingering projects. Now let's go to Sheep Island interchange. That was all, the impact fees were supposed to be for the Sheep Island interchange, and that is going to spur development out there. It comes through private property owned primarily by West Waco, and so they're getting the benefit of the impact fees without paying for the impact fees that they would have been charged for every house there. I don't know if Dan has got something in the works for maybe recuperating some of that cost and make, instead of improving private property with public funds, that we get some of those monies back. Because I don't think it's fair for us to extend the penny sales tax to, basically to cut out the impact fees, which will then benefit a developer, a large landowner developer, okay? That's my question, that's my problem about that, is that I think we're being used again, to pay another, you're being enticed to pay a penny more for a number of years more because they want to do something for someone else. Is that an election year pull? I don't know. Thank you.
I'll give you a quick response.
Okay. I just need to correct that. The money that the county's putting up for that project just covers the interchange. Midwest Vaco will be building the Sheep Island Parkway, or they will call it Nexton Parkway now, because the name's been changed. But the roads that will go through the developments, those will be developer-paid roads. We're just funding the interchange, and the replacement bridge. Jedburgh, part of that project is to replace Jedburgh Bridge as well. And so it's to build a new interchange and replace the Jedburgh Bridge. But that's where the money's going, not to the development roads.
Okay. Another question. Bill, you got your wife right here in front of you. Why don't you hear her?
This is for Dan. This water that is dumped, I mean, is it in fact being dumped?
Yeah, actually, we have several places throughout the county where we have that situation. The county was very aggressive at building these water lines, and again, I go back to when that project was done, 2001. Some of you may be familiar with the Honey Hill Reach, which is, Honey Hill's a community about 15 miles north of Jamestown, and the idea back then was to extend the water lines all the way to McClellanville and Allendale. And so they built lines. We dump even more water there. We have several places in the county, because we do not have sufficient customers on the lines, that the water is dumped to keep the water fresh. And do I say that's a good thing? No. I think, we have since, in the last several years, we have since started doing feasibility studies before we embark on a water line like that, so that we end up spilling the water.
Another question.
Basically, all three of you guys put the reference to the impact fees as 1% sales tax for the transportation fund. Recently, there was a bill that's passed in the State House, S-1085, that is supposed to allow this 1% tax to continue and completely eliminate, if I'm understanding it correctly, eliminate the impact fees. I bring up the impact fees because recently I just built a home and I had to pay an additional $2,800 in impact fees. But yet I had to provide my own septic and my own well, so who the heck am I impacted besides the road that I live on is a rock road with dirt. So I'd like to know the three opinions about that, or advice, or any insight.
And I've already lost track of who's supposed to go next. Was it you or?
I had been first.
You haven't been first yet, then you get to go first now. You tackle.
Actually, Bill 1085 is our bill. Our county attorney drafted it. Paul Campbell introduced it in the Senate. It was introduced in January, and it's for the purpose of that is exactly what we were talking about. Now, it doesn't mention the impact fee in the legislation. All it does, see, previously state law allowed you to do a 7-year transportation penny, but you could not renew it until it expired. And so we would have lost, if we keep the old law, we will lose 3/4 of a year of funding for the program. So we proposed this legislation, and again, Senator Campbell ran with it. And what that will allow us to do is put it on the ballot in November, and the penny sales tax will actually expire like in 2015, so that we can just continue it. But the business about the impact fee is our own stuff. We said, we're telling folks, if you renew the penny sales tax, we are going to eliminate the transportation impact fee.
Good. All right, Bill.
Give me just a minute now, okay? Yeah. That bill just came out of the Ways and Means Committee, and Joe Danning, if you read, if you contact him, he's got a really good, newsletter, if you will, on what's going on in the State House. I agree with Dan that that's what that is supposed to do. Again, it's we're trying to extend the sales tax or penny sales tax before it is in fact run out, which he's assuming that it's going to be voted in, but it may all be for naught in the event that it's not. So, but the voters are going to make that decision. And as for you living on an unpaved road, paying impact fees, I know that's a bitter pill to swallow. And I don't like bitter pills, and I don't like impact fees either. Okay, thank you.
Jared.
So let me get this straight. We're going to use a tax that's supposed to be 7 years. That was called temporary. Now we're going to replace that with using it for the impact fee. So the plan back the way it is. I think the approach is not right. At what point does a tax, the penny sales tax, just call it a permanent tax? Just call it what it is. Because in 7 years, you're going to hear whoever the supervisor is going to walk up here and say, oh, we got to do this again. Just call it what it is. Just call it a permanent penny sales tax and be done. That's my comment.
Good. All right, another question. And we'll decide.
If we have the 1% sales tax to better our roads or pave roads or whatever, and it's done away with, then what are we going to do with the roads? And also, does the 1% sales tax, does it pave roads in subdivisions?
Bill, you can go first with this one.
Subdivisions are generally the roads and infrastructure provided by the developer, and then they're turned over to the county. Where you have a problem is long-term maintenance of those. In Monk's Corner, we try not to own any roads. We've got a couple, but and they're very, very short. But do not envy the burden of maintaining roads in this county. Monk's Corner has Highway 6 through the middle of it, and we've been trying to get that penny over to us for a while, but it's going, and but it hasn't got there yet. As far as what we do without it, I mean, that you have to look at your engineers. As road construction is state infrastructure bank, and I do believe that the county, if it's a county maintained road, the county has to pick up that cost. So you got to pay pipers some way or another. It's not, there's no such thing as free, and that would either be associated with a rise in your ad valorem tax on your house, or a special assessment. I mean, there's a number of vehicles, but again, in the end, it's a tax, okay? And that's what you're going to do to pay the roads and to maintain them, okay?
Jerry.
If you look at the roads that we've done, 17 and 6, I believe, are both state roads. Am I correct, Dave? Those are state-owned roads. So you pay a gasoline tax. Yeah? Now you're paying the penny sales tax. How many county roads, I have a supervisor, how many county roads have we done that are not state?
Many.
Okay. How many state roads?
A few.
A few. So, you're getting taxed twice. I don't believe in raising taxes for any reason. However, I think this is a bitter pill to have to swallow. The roads are in disrepair. We haven't raised the gasoline tax since the 90s, I believe. Correct? And we're paying for it. Bill's right. The bills have come due. If you've been down 52 lately, it's like going down an old gravel street. Same thing with Cypress Cottage Road. I don't know what the answer is. As supervisor, about the only thing I can tell you is we've got to continue down this course, but I'm going to do it with holding my nose the whole time. Because here again, we've taken a temporary tax and we've turned it into something permanent. Now, I do agree with the supervisor on something. I do. To keep the continuity of the building, of the roads. We've kind of gone through this to get it in the legislature, get things going, because we don't want it to expire and have people sitting around waiting. I got to give him that. But the whole concept stinks to me. But I know it's a necessary evil. Thank you.
Dan? Well, the whole concept stinks to me too. These are state roads, and they are a state responsibility. But have you seen any improvement in the state roads over the years? And the answer to that is no. The state gets, in Berkeley County, $2.8 million a year to make these road repairs, resurfacing and things like that. We collect about $23 million a year on the sales tax. And by the way, think about where those taxes are collected. You know, all that commercial and retail around Somerville, you know, those, I don't know how many of you shop there, but those are a lot of out-of-county folks who are helping us pay for those roads. But it's just, you know, it's like the ostrich that sticks his head in the sand and just doesn't want to see the problem. We know that our roads are deteriorating, and we can do one of two things. We can be proactive, do the 1 cent, and make sure our roads are in good shape, or we can stick our head in the sand and just hope that when we pull our head out that the roads are paved. But you know that's not going to happen. So, you know, this has been a very good program. I think you can all see that. And it is true that we are doing some state roads, but they just can't afford to do it. And until they do something with the gasoline tax, if we want those roads, we're going to have to help them do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do 2 more questions, and then we're going to have them do their closing comments. So here's my next question. Yes, sir. I'll come to you.
Thank you very much. My question really is for Mr. Davis. Before coming on duty, the closing of the arrangement for Google to come in to Berkeley County, my son was in the attendance at the last meeting, and Mr. Davis was there. Can you tell us why you were not in favor of Google coming to Berkeley County, number one? Number two, the economic situation is horrible in the county. We're the 3rd highest and have been since Mr. Davis has been in office. And the jobs that he boasted about in 2009, 1,545 with 12 industries. I checked those out myself. Ladies and gentlemen, that was 80 jobs, not 1,500. So 1,000 now. Can you tell us the names of the industries bringing about employment last year with 1,000 jobs?
Yeah, very easily. As a matter of fact, I already said it, and I think it's before you came in. Benefit Focus, one industry, early December of last year, announced 1,200 new jobs. And as a matter of fact, you all probably saw, you know, that was such a big announcement. Channel 2 interrupted the morning programming, and they broadcast that groundbreaking live. So that was one. That's one with more than the 1,000 that you're saying. So, and I would be happy to show you. As a matter of fact, I recently had our economic development folks do a year-to-year by company and the job announced, and I'd be glad to provide you a copy of that, and it will help you not make mistakes like that.
I'm sorry, you got time before we continue. I thought you were.
Well, was there another part of the question? I think it was another part.
Yeah, go to Google.
Well, I really honestly don't know what you're talking about. I don't think I ever said that I didn't want Google. That was a tremendous asset to Berkeley County. And but that deal was pretty much made before I came anyway. That the ink was dry on the paperwork. But I'd like to see where I said that I wasn't in favor of it.
Well, it's a matter of believing my son from this today.
All right.
Fair enough. Would you 2 gentlemen like to comment on the economic growth or Google? Either one. It wasn't directed to you. Passing that. I know our pastor is joining us. We're going to let the last and final question go to him.
Turn in your Bibles to... No, I'm just kidding.
At least he's not passing the collection plate.
I'd like to know, what do each of you think is the biggest problem that we're facing in Berkeley County right now? And if you were elected supervisor or you were re-elected supervisor, what would you do to solve it?
I think we're to Jerry now to go first again.
Well, everybody knows my stance. I think there's 2, but I'll give you one at a time. I think that we've got to get control of our emergency services. It does worry me that we don't have enough patrolmen on the roads. We don't have enough ambulances. We haven't really built, I don't believe, maybe one new ambulatory station. And it does worry me. Because when I dial 911, I want somebody to come. I was witness to having an ambulance wait 17 minutes for this poor lady to be picked up. And I've been told that in the last 3 weeks, there's been an occasion where all the ambulances in Berkeley County were used for something. Well, what's the plan? What's the plan? I think that we can could do things better. I think we could prioritize better. But it's going to take some work. And my other one is, economic development, but, you asked that, so thank you very much.
All right, Dan?
Well, quite honestly, I think the biggest problem in Berkeley County is not only here, but I think just about everywhere. I still think it's the economy. In Berkeley County, we are poised to really burst out of this recession with a lot of commercial and retail growth, and the majority of that will take place in the Jedburgh area around exit 199. There is an awful lot of residential growth that is just waiting to happen. But the economy's got to get just a little bit better. And when the economy gets a little bit better, I think a lot of these problems will start being solved. I didn't mention it before, but if you look at the budget of the county today versus the budget about 6 years ago, we are operating with about $5 million less dollars than what we did. That's almost a 10% cut in our budget. So if you had to reduce your expenses at home by 10%, you'd suffer too. So, we're just operating still in thin times. The economy's not come back, but when it does, Berkeley County is the 35th fastest growing county in the nation, the fastest growing county in South Carolina. And so we're going to reap the rewards of that first before anybody else, but it's still about the economy.
Bill?
Problem is, show me the money, okay? I don't know where the money's going. We have all this money coming in, we have I want to know what's going on. And I agree with them that, the economy is getting better. I mean, Monk's Corner, today I was contacted by Channel 5 and by the Post and Courier about growth in Monk's Corner. We're exceeding everywhere else, but we've planned for that in Monk's Corner because we're banking on the growth, and we plan for that to be there. We've improved our services. We have to do that at the county too, because the two most essential services that we have to have is police and fire. And the current budget that was just offered to council does not have a pay increase to any of the employees, does not have any police cars, only has one ambulance. I mean, I don't understand that. If they recognize these as problems, why aren't they addressing them as problems? We need to get back to representing you people. We need to get back to serving you. And one thing I just have to ask. I've been the mayor and council for almost 20 years now, and I have yet to have had a meeting with the economic advisor or economic person that is in charge of trying to make business in Berkeley County. I think that's horrendous when a county seat does not get that kind of attention.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the point in the program. I'm going to allow the candidates to make a 2-minute wrap-up, closing statement. We're going to go, starting with you, Dan, in just a second, because you went last in the opening statements. However, I will warn the candidates that if you attack the record of someone that has already spoken in their closing, I will give them a chance to come back and respond to that. Dan?
Well, I haven't attacked anybody yet, and I don't intend to. Basically, I'm running on my record. That's what incumbents do. And I think what we have accomplished in this county is well known. Again, the penny sales tax, the reduction in debt, the improvements we've made throughout the county with our sewer system, which is vital. We just recently opened the Central Berkeley plant, which is vital to that growth. If we don't have facilities to handle the sewer, we can't grow anywhere. There are subdivisions along 17A who have been on hold for years and years and years, and some of you have probably seen the signs out there and you wonder, well, why aren't they doing anything? The reason they weren't doing anything is because they could not build because we didn't have the sewer facility. So we've got that now. Our infrastructure is in good shape. We are the fastest growing. We are, again, poised to really come out of the starting gate in a big, big way. And I think just nothing but good things are ahead of us. And again, I appreciate all of you coming out tonight. I certainly would appreciate all your support if you see it that way. And God bless you.
Thank you very much. Bill, you're next.
I was first on the...
I'm going to go back on this one. We'll let you come back and attack.
What now?
Go ahead. Just let you go next.
Me?
Yeah, I'm making, after that opening statement. I'm doing
Okay.
this one. But it's easier for me.
I was first and, started off now, I'm second, so, but anyway. Let me correct, I've been painted in the same sense with Dan, which I don't really have a problem with, and I'm just a little taller than he is and probably better looking. But,
You get 2 minutes for that one, Dan.
anyway, my issue is that I make no apologies for the people that I've met, the people that I've known, and the way I can get things done in Berkeley County. I recently got $1 million plus from Moncks Corner, $800,000 from chats to improve our traffic lights to make them better. I got $250,000 for our regional recreational facility because I testified before the Senate Finance Committee and I happened to work well with our legislative delegation. We changed law in South Carolina to be able to bond that 2% hospitality money so that we could bring this park to fruition. I make no apologies whatsoever for knowing how to get things done. I make no apologies whatsoever for knowing how to raise money. I make no apologies whatsoever for knowing the people to serve you better. Thank you.
And Jared.
So I guess if there's three of us, I would have been in the middle anyway. So, June the 10th is coming up, and we can make some change. We've had a pretty good year with conservative members of council. Really have. Got a lot done. But we can make a change. We can keep the politicians the way we are. Dan will be in his third term. Bill served on council and mayor for 20 years. If you look at just the supervisor and Dan wins, it would be 12 years on top of the previous supervisor. That's 28 years under the management of 2 people. I'm the only candidate standing here tonight that says I will pledge 2 terms. 2 terms. Because this job shouldn't be permanent, and it's turning it into that. And listen, I know I don't have the big name. I'm not a Davis or a Peter. I don't have all the money, but I have one thing that they don't. You. I've probably knocked on about 3,000 doors, and I've talked to the people. And they're more like us than they are like them. It's time to turn a page. As I've said, we can make Berkeley County strong. Again. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you join me in giving a huge round of applause to these 3 men? Tonight, and they shared with you their thoughts and opinions and their heart, and we appreciate their heart for service. Many thanks to our pastor and staff and Tony here at Harbor Lake, Goose Creek 912, Bill Barbara Bates over here leading the charge. Bill, any final parting comments you want to make?
No, I don't think so. I really appreciate your attendance tonight and your participation, and all of the people who came.
Give yourselves a big round of applause for being here.
I'd like to offer you a card as you leave tonight. It's a Goose Creek 912 card so that you can start coming to our meetings. Thank you.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, we're dismissed. Thank you so much for your participation and attendance tonight.
Thank you.